Self-quarantining.
And a quarantine order.
Quarantined in their...
Held in quarantine.
Quarantine.
The quarantine in place.
Quarantine for the required 14 days.
Hey, what's up, people? This is your friendly neighborhood Negro, JC. Welcome you back to the QT, aka Quarantine Talks. All right, today I got on the show with me a first of its kind. In many ways, I got a whole ass married couple, y'all. Branden and Linnea Crawford. All right, the Crawfords, as I like to call them, are a set of dope ass individuals from Atlanta that are business as fuck. All right, they are professional yogis with a professional yoga studio called Seviin. They have a family therapy business. They have a vintage clothing pop-up thingy. They just do it all, man. They almost make me rethink being single. Almost. Anywho, we dive into what prompted them to open Seviin Studios and the kemetic origins of yoga. So I know kemetic means black, y'all. Like bliggity black, like black as fuck. The motherland. How Linnea used her degrees to open up Kaleidoscope Family Therapy, and how Branden used his closet to start a clothing boutique. No shade, Branden got degrees too, I'm just saying. And we talk about collaborating with other dope-ass ATL creatives like Cam Kirk, and as a major key, they give the do's and don'ts of being married, homie, lover, friends, and business. All right, y'all, these two individuals both said the words equally yoked at least twice during this. So you know it's real, giving us Sierra and Russell vibes. Guys, let's get into it, guys. Let's go. Oh, man. But outside of that, how was you guys this weekend?
Not too bad. It was pretty chill.
What we do?
Yeah,
Home.
staying home.
Over week going for some walks, bike rides.
So, you guys ride? Oh, you guys ride?
Yeah.
What kind of bikes you got?
I have a fixie.
Okay.
And, you have a Swim, a Schwinn, or whatever it's called.
Oh, you got like the Walmart mountain bike?
It's.
I'm talking. He's talking to you.
I don't think it's a mountain bike. I got one originally.
No. I got a fixie single speed. So like the judgment that I just gave, he got, and like in all one thing, he just. all that judgment. I love it. I like you. Oh man, that was really funny. Oh, whew. Yeah, I like you, man. He's a good guy. He's a keeper. Make sure you treat him right. But yeah, we'll get into it really fast. But yeah, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Quarantine Talks. I am JC. If you guys are wondering who the lovely couple that I've been talking to is, I'll let them go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Linnea Smith Crawford.
Yep, and I am Branden Crawford.
And we are the co-owners of Seviin Yoga in Kirkwood.
Yep.
That's what's up. So yeah, guys, I know, well, if you listen to the pod, you know my social media, you know that number one, they're black. Number two, they're a couple. And number three, they own a yoga studio. So I'm like, these are all like, I was like, wait, yoga studio, like, I want to talk to them, like, because that's just so cool. Like, where do we start? So first of all, how did y'all meet?
Ooh,
AUC?
Yeah, in the AUC. So we both went to school there. I went to Morehouse. She went to Spelman.
Shout out.
Yeah, that typical story.
Yeah.
Met over social media, in a sense.
Really?
Yeah.
We met this
Tinder?
No.
Oh yeah, we're old.
Not older.
We're older.
Black Planet? Let me stop.
like real popular in that demographic.
Okay.
Me this summer as I was coming into Spelman because he wanted to be my Morehouse brother, air quotes.
Okay.
And that's where we started talking, and then we met like the first week.
Yep.
Of being there.
Sure did.
We actually didn't start dating until my senior year of college. We were just friends. We were friends, and we're still friends, but we love each other on a deeper level.
Oh, and so how long has it been now?
8 years.
Been together 8 years.
Been together 8 years. Married 3. Yeah.
Wow! Congrats. It was like April 20 something like that.
21st.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I be doing research stuff. I be reading. You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
Appreciate that.
So, oh yeah, you guys just had an anniversary. So congrats. You know.
Thank you.
It kind of sucks it was in quarantine. What got canceled? Like, where were y'all gonna go?
You know, we're very last minute.
We're kind of like flighty when it comes to doing like anniversary stuff. So we'll just take a trip whenever. So there wasn't really anything planned. It was like, all right, quarantine is happening. We might need to push this to August or something. So we'll see. We celebrated in the house. That's about it.
We went to the park.
Yeah, we had a nice little picnic.
I mean, you can't really do too much. I don't you know.
Legally.
I know people that are traveling, like are bouncing back and forth from city to city, and I'm like, yeah, which is crazy because essentially their logic is like, you know, you're going to come into contact with less people on a flight than you would if you walk the belt line for that matter, which is crazy to me. But to each his own, I suppose.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, especially with the belt lines. Well, I've been to the belt line a few times. It's been kind of packed. I haven't been in like the last 2 weeks, so I don't know. But yeah, it was a lot of people out. Like, but I guess again, makes sense. But it's just the whole social distancing aspect of it is just kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I'm by myself usually, so I don't have to worry about other people. But it's like, you know, I remember our mayor, shout out to Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Kiki came on IG Live and was like, yo, if y'all don't stop congregating and playing football, we're going to close the parks down. Thank you. Goodbye. And I was like, she got off.
Yeah. We love Keisha.
We love Keisha, man. We love Keisha. Oh, my God. We love Keisha.
Pulling down some basketball hoops.
Really?
Around city, because we're on the east side of town, so I know like in the East Lake area and like Little Five and everything else, they were just because I know I saw a ton of people outside just hooping, and then a week later there were no hoops up. So in a 5-mile radius to us, you can't play no ball. You had to sneak and go find a court on the outskirts just to play some ball.
Wow.
And it was empty.
Okay. I mean, I don't. Okay. There's one way to do it. It's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But getting back to the studio, so what does Seviin mean? Like the name of the studio. When did you guys establish it, and like what was the thought process behind it?
Yes, great question. So 7 is the number of completion. And so that's actually our favorite number because we believe that we complete each other. Oh. And so we knew that the first business that we would open together would have the number 7 incorporated some way, somehow. And so the reason why we spell 7 the way we do is because the VII is the Roman numeral for 7. So we thought it'd be like a fun play on the name. But essentially it's our love, you know, expressing our love and giving it in a way to other people through that.
Are y'all both yogis?
Yes.
Is that that's the proper term, right? Yogis, people is that teacher or doer?
It can be either.
Both.
Yeah. But yes, we're both a teacher and a doer.
Yeah.
You taught some classes to some IG Live classes. Yeah. So he's a teacher too and a yogi. So working on your certification.
How long has it been established?
Year 3.
Yeah, year 3.
Yeah. Wow. Like, and have you guys had like a mainly like positive? No, well, not positive. Let me say like, have you guys had like like, has it been like busy? Like, because I never really think about doing yoga.
So I think it's been a steady progression. I definitely think that the way we present yoga to the world is definitely different than most.
Mm-hmm.
We play, you know, everything from like indie rock to hip hop to like trap music, The studio's dark and LED lit. We have no mirrors, and we believe,
Really?
No mirrors, because we're a judgment-free zone. So oftentimes when you're in a yoga studio or really in any fitness class, you tend to look at yourself in the mirror and you tend to like compare the way you look to other people, and it affects your practice. So we wanted to create a space that was judgment-free, and we're probably one of the only yoga studios that don't have mirrors. So a lot of people like that idea. Some people aren't used to it. I think we've seen a steady progression and growth.
Yeah, since opening.
Since opening, and then the pandemic. Dun, dun, dun.
Woo! Oh boy.
Right? That was a whole pivot within itself, but we've been resilient just within this entire thing. Like, you know, who can predict something like this happening?
Right.
And as a business, like, you know, you have to make choices. Like, you know, do I continue to stay open? Do I close? Like, what do I offer in the meantime, just to kind of like, one, stay afloat, stay relevant within that space. So, you know, we definitely had to do a lot of sitting down during that initial period. And we were like, hey, you know, let's try to offer some virtual yoga. Let's try to mimic what we do in this studio online. You know, what is the best way? What's the best way to be able to do that? You know, how does that look from our end? So I think we've been running with that for a month and a half now. Since March. So we're going on 2 months, and we've gotten positive feedback from that. But you know, just with being new in that space, it's a growing pains. But you know, let's be honest here. We're ready for this thing to be over with, so we can get back to practicing with our tribe.
Yeah, because I know yoga is like a very communal type of experience. Like, you know, so it's just like, I know even when you guys are like virtual class, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I can't, like, this is the most that I've used FaceTime or Zoom or anything with video in my life. Like, if I'm not texting, call me or I'll pull up. Like, that's the type of guy I am. Like, I don't like to do, you know, I hate it, but it's just kind of like one of those, it's a necessity type of situation now. But like, yeah, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. So people have been, me and Megan were talking about Zoom parties. Yeah, no, I can't. I don't want to. It's just like, it's too strange. Like, you know, it's just too strange. I don't know. What's the crowd like for you guys' yoga spot? Because I know the other thing that is a little off-putting to a lot of Black people is that like yoga is like the predominantly, you know, you see Karen and the long hair flowing, and they got like, you know, it's like a whole bunch of non-colored folk doing yoga. And I know that is very off-putting. So like, what's the crowd? Is it mixed? How does it lean?
So we intentionally created a space that made other people or everyone feel comfortable practicing. We have a very diverse yoga studio, probably one of the most diverse we've been told in Atlanta. And anytime someone comes in, they're like, wow, like I've never seen this many people of color in a class. I've never seen this many men. So we have an array of ages, we have an array of races, and it's really a melting pot. I think it mimics what America looks like.
Right.
And I think so long, yoga studios have been predominantly white. That's actually why we opened, because all the studios we practiced at, we'd be the only Black people, and people would just come up being amazed that we knew what yoga was.
Right.
And how to, which is very offensive. I don't think they realize how that's offensive.
Right.
Like, yoga is open to everyone. Just because we're people of color doesn't mean we're blind to the benefits of it.
Right.
So, we're very happy that we were able to create such a diverse space for people.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too. Like what I didn't know, because I was listening to maybe another podcast. I was watching something, and the trap yoga chick, they were. Yeah. They were talking about it. It's like, yeah, yoga actually originated in Africa, took a turn, and then came back out, you know? And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense, because Africa. So, I mean, you know, it's just like henna and everything originated and left and came back out, you know? So I was just like, oh, well, that makes sense. And you don't really think about these things because of what the aesthetic of it is and what we always see, but it does, you know, it makes a great deal of sense.
I remember in my yoga teacher training, I asked that. I was like, why aren't you teaching anything about kemetic yoga? Why aren't you teaching about where yoga actually originates from? And my instructor was kind of like, I don't really know much about that, but maybe we'll follow the next training. And I was like, herein lies the problem. You're just, you have to know the origins of the things that you're teaching. But I mean, if people aren't giving you the information, then you're only left to believe what you learned. So
right. And if you don't, and if you never see yourself reflected in it, subconsciously it's like, oh, it's not for me. So like that's the other thing too.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we kind of share space in that regard. I know she probably tapped into it, but yeah, that was huge for us because even when I first got into it, and I would go to the studio where she was practicing and got her training, I'm in there like, I'm a spec. Like, where is everybody? Like, where are my people for real? Right. So when everything was over with, and she got a certification, and there was two things I asked her. Hey, do you want to practice at this place, or like, how do you feel about just jumping out there and creating something? And then from there, we sat down one day. We had our vision board, our whiteboard, and we just went to town trying to build out like what that looks like from pricing. What does that look like from a marketing standpoint? Like, how do we convey our unique love for yoga, our originality, and hold space for any person, so you don't feel like how I felt when I went to this particular yoga studio. How do we hold space for individuals in that regard? And it's been love ever since. So,
what did you guys' majors? Just wondering.
I majored in psychology,
and I did marketing.
Okay, so makes sense. Okay, I see how, and that's like a good pair too. Like, look at y'all, man. Look at y'all. Speaking of psychology, you guys also have a family therapy practice?
Yes, we have a family therapy practice in Atlanta.
Yes.
Still Atlanta.
Okay. And called Kaleidoscope?
Yes, Kaleidoscope Family Therapy.
Okay. How did name and origins? Go.
I'll let you. Sure, baby.
Yes, baby. Kaleidoscope came about. Actually, my mom gave me the name Kaleidoscope. I actually wanted to open a daycare many years ago, and Kaleidoscope was the name because I wanted all different types of kids from different backgrounds to be able to come to make this beautiful thing. But it ended up evolving into a therapy practice because I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and we opened a practice. I mean, it evolved. At first, it was like a behavioral consultation practice. And then when I got my master's and became licensed, we made it into a family therapy practice. But essentially, we just want to help people become happier and healthier. We really are passionate about being in the wellness space, and not just like we're going to work out hard physical wellness, but we really are passionate about the mental, spiritual wellness of people as well.
Mm-hmm. What attracted you to therapy as like a course, or like how did you get into that?
I actually always wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be a therapist since I was in middle school, and I'm like one of those weird people that kind of known what they've wanted to do. I was like the friend that always helped people. My grandpa is really into like philosophy and intellectual kinds of things. And so we would always have talks about the psyche. Actually, at first I wanted to be a psychiatrist. Then I found out you had to go to med school. Yes. And I drank blood and cadavers because you have to go through that process first. And then I found marriage and family therapy. And I'm very passionate about the family unit. So it all worked together.
Worked out. Yeah.
And so what's also interesting is I have a friend in London, and she has a jewelry company called Kaleidoscope Beauty. And she is Rwandan and Kenyan. And so the creators of the jewelry are actually in Kenya, like in a village neighborhood in Kenya. So she contracts the people to make she'll sketch a design and she'll send it over, and then they'll collaborate. They make the jewelry, they send it back, and number one, it gives the people in that village like a sustainable job, but number two, like a lot of the proceeds actually go back to Kenya as well to help out with different things and supporting them, especially with the pandemic. Because if it's hard for us, it's going to be 10 times as hard on people that don't have. So when I saw that, I was like, Kaleidoscope Family. I was like, oh, I know that. Okay, I'm seeing a trend here. But I was like, I want to know what your reasoning was for naming it Kaleidoscope. Because she said she wanted to give people a vision of Africa that we don't see, you know? So you get to see see it through a different kind of lens.
Yeah. That's a beautiful cause.
Yeah. I like that. When I looked that up after this call.
Yeah. She's like, she's a really cool girl. She's dope. She's really super dope. And she's young too. She's 26. I'm like, what the hell? She's like, what was I doing at 26? Like, where did my life go? Like, I don't understand. And then Branden, you have a vintage clothing shop?
Yes. Wow. You did your research.
I be reading, man.
So I started that with two guys I went to college with. Mm-hmm. That's one of my many passions, clothing.
What's the name of it? Little Vintage.
Little Vintage.
Okay.
Little Vintage. So we're actually about to relaunch in August or September. Mm-hmm. Still working on that. But yeah, clothing is another passion of mine outside of the therapy space and yoga. I kind of fell in love with it when I was in college. When you're broke, you got to go find some clothes and you want to get fly. That was my mode. And, you know, from there, it kind of just grew into an aesthetic that I wanted to provide, like the funky shirts, ripped jeans. I used to get Japanese baseball jerseys. I had a plug on Japanese baseball jerseys, authentic. I used to sell for like $200 or $300. Yeah, if you go on my IG, like they're way down there. But like just establishing quality connections with clothing designers or finding stuff on eBay, Etsy, things of that nature. So it taught me that sense of marketability. College without the tutelage of, one of these teachers in a sense. Right. So started that business. And we ran with it for 3 or 4 years, and kind of put it on pause. I think at that time we were getting married. We were trying to start Seviin, and I know she was going to grad school. So I was like, hey man, let's put this on pause. Life is going way too fast right now. And I don't have the resources to continue this right now. But now, 3 years later, we're back at it. It was a healthy break. So now resources look a lot different. And we're going to attack it in a much different way. So.
Is it like brick and mortar, or are you guys doing like the more online boutique?
Definitely online. Okay. Definitely online. I know when we did do it, we did a lot of pop-up shops. So anywhere in Atlanta, we were there. Like we were in the streets. Like that was our main thing. Outside of just what you would get online, we did a ton of pop-ups. So I was going around week to week at all of these different bars or talking to event hosts like, hey, I think this product would be a great compliment to what you're doing. We would sell out of pieces.
Mm-hmm. So what's it like being business partners and lovers? Like, how does that work? Because, a lot of people don't make business and pleasure, but y'all really ain't got no choice. So how do you separate, because it doesn't seem like either one of you, I guess the good thing is there's no power dynamic. Like no one's a boss and no one's an employee. Like you guys are on the same level. So that helps out a lot. But what is that like? How do you guys manage it?
I think you tapped into it, being able to compartmentalize, holding space for us to be business partners, and then shutting that down completely and saying, all right, cool, it's time to be husband and wife. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hearing each other out in a sense, like even when we're having our spats, and we kind of disagree on certain subjects as far as business wise, I think it's important to actively listen to each person's kind of premise and their statement and compromise. So I know for me, those are two big things from the marriage dynamic and from a business dynamic. It's imperative.
Yeah, and I think it's also important, we schedule our business meetings. I think when we first started out, we try to just intertwine business conversation with regular conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's not healthy, right? Because we're not just business partners. So when we need to talk about business things, we schedule the business meetings. And then when it's husband and wife time, even if we have an idea, we'll say, I have an idea. Let's schedule a business meeting tomorrow so we can talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to lose momentum or track of who like your husband or your partner is, because that relationship is completely different from that of a business partner. Yeah. So we try really, really hard to compartmentalize that area or those areas of our life. Yeah.
So if you had to give advice to couples in business, what do you think would be a do and a don't?
That's a really good question. Go ahead.
I would say do communicate. Like don't assume. Communicate everything. Communicate your ideas. Don't, I guess, intermingle business talk with husband and wife talk. Like I don't think it's healthy to be in bed having movie night and then, oh man, we forgot to do this for the business, and now it turned into a whole 2-hour meeting when we're supposed to have like a date night. So I think do compartmentalize, do communicate, don't intermingle.
Yeah. I would say don't assume. Don't assume all the time. That can definitely get you in trouble.
Explain.
I mean, from a marriage dynamic, you never want to assume like, hey, your partner is feeling a certain type of way, or in business, like, you know, I should have pulled the trigger on this thing, but my partner isn't with it.
Okay.
Don't want to ever overstep. And again, with us, there's no power shift and no power dynamic. Like we're equally yoked in all of our businesses, but I never want to make a decision without her, no matter how important it is. So I think it's great to just be collaborative within that point. And, you know, if you're married and wanting to go into business, do research and, you know, what that looks like for you all as a married couple, what that looks like as far as going into this business venture. You know, do you guys add quality value to what you're about to launch? Like, what does that look like as far as scaling a business and scaling a business together? Like, do you have the time and the resources equally to put into this venture? So I would say, you know, before you pull all your hair out and you go gray, abide by those things, you know?
Also, it's important to have like a healthy base too. Yeah. I think you got to make sure your relationship is strong, because business can get tricky. And if you don't have that foundation of being like friends and being lovers, it can get really tricky. And a lot of people that try to be married and be in business, their marriages fail. I work a lot with couples, and that's kind of one of the things that comes up is we try to do a business together, it didn't work out, and now we're thinking about separating. So I think it's important to have that base love and understanding.
Yeah. Do you guys kind of feel like you got a cheat code because she is a therapist? Is it like one of those things? And she deals with family, like, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, and it's a Grand Theft Auto cheat code too.
I do think you being a therapist is helpful.
Yeah, it's the ultimate cheat code.
So I guess like the other side of that I can ask is like, well, since you are a therapist, do you ever catch yourself like over therapizing things, or do you feel like you can kind of like back away from it and be like, okay, this is this and this is that?
That's a great question. Sometimes I ask him, I was like, do you want the wife answer or do you want the therapist answer? Because sometimes they're different. Like sometimes they're different. That is something I had to learn. I think early on, I kind of just wanted to like practice. Learn my, do my new skills and techniques with him, but that can be annoying.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
So communicated and talked about that. And so now if he has a question or if he wants an opinion and I have a response for both, I ask, like, do you want the therapist answer or do you want your wife answer? And that has helped a lot.
I do that too, because people like to come to me and tell me their problems for some damn reason. And I don't be wanting to know, but like, and I'm not the guy that I'm a doer. So I'm not a complainer. I'm a doer. Like, I'm going to say something once. It might annoy me. I'm going to say something twice. I'm thinking about a way to fix it. And I'm going to say something about a third time. It's fixed. And I've moved on. Like, that's the type of man that I am. But it's like, sometimes people, well, I guess with that being said, I'm not the friend that you called a vent multiple times. And so, like, you know, my roommate had to sit and tell me, this is what you do. You ask, are you calling me to vent or are you calling me for a solution? Because if you're calling, you know, then you can figure out which way to navigate the conversation. So that's kind of interesting to hear you say that. That's a good hack right there. That's a good cheat. See, y'all did good. You did good, man. You did good. You did good. I think last question I have on the relationship thing is, do you guys find that the hats that you train for are the hats that you wear all the time in business? Or do you feel like they kind of switch and intermingle? Or do you guys work best as like, I'm the marketer, I'm doing the strategy to what to market? Or do you guys kind of, does it ebb and flow?
Yeah, it's intertwined, to say the least, for all businesses, I would say.
I think we do a good job of collabing. And Branden's definitely the person that creates all of the marketing, but we talk about the ideas.
Yeah.
I think we just collab. Yeah. Because like we do the music for my classes. Yeah. He'll give me advice as to like what kinds of yoga poses I should incorporate. Like, so I think we do a good job of balancing each other out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he does do most of the marketing. Ultimately, the managing of the teachers and all of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I think the last question I got is, who are you guys' ideal or dream customers? I got that from somebody. It's just like a damn good question. I was like, I ask it all the time now.
I don't even know what that looks like.
I just do.
I mean, I can pull up my Facebook ad manager and tell you, all right, based off of this, you know, this ad set, what it looks like. But if I'm thinking about a dream customer, ideal dream customer, you know, somebody that looks like somebody that's open. I'm not even really concerned about, you know, the skin of their color. Somebody that's just open to being accepting other individuals that may not necessarily look like them, and, you know, willing to practice and build community in a sense, and have some money, I guess.
Right. Have some money.
Yeah. The ideal customer is the customer that wants to pay the full price and doesn't ask for the discount. The ideal customer is someone who knows how to be in collaboration and in community. The ideal customer is someone who likes to talk about their joy of the studio and word of mouth. Yeah. And the ideal customer is someone, like you said, is open, and because we love to like connect with our students. Like we love to know their names. We're there. Well, we were there all the time.
They can rub shoulders.
Right. So yeah, just being open and wanting to just connect. I think those are all the things that make us really well.
Okay. And then
great question.
Yeah. I do pretty good sometimes. What's the next for y'all? Barring, you know, quarantine. But
good question.
Property.
Yeah.
More property.
Definitely we're expanding our therapy practice and working on some fun media things that involve media and therapy. So that's one of the things we're also working on.
Mm-hmm. Yoga wise, we're doing a monthly thing with Cam. Are you familiar with Cam Kirk?
Cam Kirk, or like the person?
In the
person or the studio? Yeah, either or.
The name sounds really, really familiar. Like really, really familiar.
Okay. So yeah, we're doing a monthly class there.
Tell me who he is.
Oh, well, Cam Kirk. Okay, so Cam Kirk.
I was waiting on that. Thank you.
I was going to get there. Maybe I should preface. All right, Cam Kirk. He went to Morehouse like I think he graduated like 2011. But he got his break as a photographer. And he's done pretty much any major artist that you can possibly think of. Gucci, Huey Longway, A$AP Rocky. List is fairly long. But now he owns a studio and he has a whole collective behind him. And they kind of share space in the same way that we do, but from a photography and just creative standpoint. So we just connected through a mutual friend. So we hold space with them every month. for like 3 classes of yoga. It's amazing, man. Like just to be able to kind of like tap into the other side of Atlanta, the creative side of Atlanta is pretty dope. And just to be able to show them what we have to offer, and especially now, like pre and post quarantine, people want to kind of develop a regime just to kind of alleviate whatever anxieties they may have.
Right.
And I think it's definitely imperative now, post quarantine, and just wanting to just be mindful in that space.
And to continue to collab with other people.
And
we like to collab with.
We like to collab
because we do like the Home Depot backyards and things like that.
Where are y'all from? I was wondering.
I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
Florida.
What part of Florida?
Everyone asks that, and I say, "Oh, okay." So it's a long story. So we'll start with. Have you ever heard of Sarasota?
Yeah, I know where Sarasota is. I lived in Miami for like 2 years.
Okay.
I also lived in Chicago for 2 years.
Have you heard of Venice, Florida?
Yes, actually.
Have you heard of Port Charlotte, Florida?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Northport?
Okay, just get to where are you from?
That's where I'm from.
No.
Northport.
Okay, Northport. I don't know Northport, but I have heard of Port Charlotte.
I got to go down the line. You said Port Charlotte, so I thought maybe you might know, but I'm from Northport. It's a very small town in Florida. Actually, the Braves are building their practice.
They can build it all.
Their practice stadium there. Which is like a fun fact,
Wow.
which is kind of
Weird.
Very weird because no one's ever heard of Northport, but that's where I'm from.
To me, it's just weird because it's like as big as Georgia is, and all these damn trees, you couldn't build it. Just knock down the trees and build it here. Like that's just odd to me. That's so weird. I don't know. Yeah, and
I was super happy and super excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it don't sound like they got much else to be excited about. So that works out.
Really?
Not really.
Yes, there
like Walmart
and a Walmart. There's nothing else to do.
Okay.
I spent many a Christmas there, and
it is what it is.
It is.
But yeah, nah, that's it. Y'all were great. Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah, that was just side banner. Like I was just wondering where both of y'all are from. I was just like, wait, where are y'all? Like I was like, where are they from? Like y'all don't sound like y'all from Georgia, but I don't know.
I'm gonna start saying I'm from Atlanta.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, how long you been here?
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah, after 10, you can start saying that. Like I'm like 8-ish. I'm like give or take 8-ish backwards and forwards. So I'm like, yeah, about 2 more years, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm like basically from Atlanta now.
All right, let me say that.
I don't think I'm gonna ever say it.
Because I need to. No one knows where I'm from.
You. It makes sense.
To that one person. Hey.
I thought you were getting so close. I was like getting so excited when you said you knew Florida. I was like,
nah.
Where I'm from, but
nah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't lived in DC in 16 years, but I still claim that area because that's hometown. Like I've lived a bunch of different other places that I do claim, but like, yeah, I just can't forget DC, can't forget North Carolina, and now Georgia. And you know, I did a little spin in Florida. Got out of there. Whew, thank God. And yeah. So yeah, but yeah, after 10 years, like yeah, you can start saying you're from Atlanta. Like just say yeah, I'm from Atlanta. Well, I was born somewhere else, but I've been here since.
By way of,
yeah. Start saying that. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
Thank you for having us. This is great.
No problem, man. This was the Crawfords, guys. And so I mean that's it. That's a wrap. Yeah, bye-bye.
Right. Studio soon. We'll when we reopen, we'll let you know.
Yes. I'll be there. Like I really will be there. I bought a yoga mat and everything because I got a nice yoga mat. That's what Megan said. She was like, "Ooh, you got the extra thick one." And I was like, I don't know if that's like a dirty joke or a good thing, but sure. We guys, we out. Peace. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening. You can follow us on the Instagrams at the OVT Network. And you can follow me, JC, at JC from the OVT. Very simple, right? This podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and pretty much everywhere in between. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment and rate us 5 stars if you were so inclined. Thank you. Quarantine Talks is a podcast that is also available on YouTube. Just type in the OVT Network and hit subscribe for all of the latest and greatest from me at the OVT. Lastly, we are an independent and Black-owned media network, guys. So if you enjoyed the content and you would like to drop a donation, you may do so on Cash App or the Venmo at the OVT Network. All one word, the OVT Network. Quarantine Talks is edited and produced by me, JC, with original music produced by Branden. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Stay safe, stay creative, and most importantly, stay sane. Find your peace, man. It's crazy out here. Laters.